Nation! I'm Unger to the Max coming at you with today's episode of Talkin UFC and Wrestling. Now don't worry, the Sports Room Talk Show isn't going anywhere. In fact, I might record an episode or two later today and get those posted on the YouTube channel. But for now, I'm talking UFC and wrestling. So this past Saturday was UFC 290 at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. In the main event, Alexander Volkanovski put his UFC Featherweight Championship on the line against interim UFC Featherweight Champion Yair Rodriguez. Volkanovski, to the surprise of no one, successfully retained his title. So, the question is, who is Volkanovski going to face next? It's either going to be another featherweight title defense against Ilia Topuria, or Volkanovski is going to move up to lightweight and go for a rematch against current lightweight champion Islam Makhachev. I just looked at the pound-for-pound rankings. Jon Jones is number 1 and Volkanovski is number 2. No, Alexander Volkanovski needs to be number 1 on that list. He's beaten Max Holloway 3 times. He's beaten Brian Ortega. He's dismantled the Korean Zombie. Turned away Yair Rodriguez. Many fans would argue he beat Islam Makhachev. I'm one of those fans. So Volkanovski needs to be ahead of Jon Jones in the pound-for-pound rankings. But on the subject of Jon Jones, we know when he's going to be fighting next. It will be at UFC 295 at Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. And who is he facing? Oh, just arguably, or no, it's not even arguable, the greatest heavyweight champion of all time from my hometown here in Cleveland, Stipe Miocic. So this fight is all about legacy. Who is the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time? Is it Stipe Miocic, who has the most successful title defenses in UFC heavyweight history? Or is it Jon Jones, who many argue is the greatest of all time? I can't say Jon Jones is the greatest of all time because he's had too many issues with, getting suspended due to run-ins with the law or some sort of drug something or other. I'm not going to get into all of this and that because that's just not something I really want to get into. But he's had too many issues, in my opinion, for him to be the greatest of all time. That's not to take anything away from Jon Jones in terms of what he can do in the octagon, because I've seen what he can do. He's amazing. But you can't just dismiss all of the outside stuff. You have to take all of that into consideration. Hence why I can't say Jon Jones is the greatest of all time. He's had too much outside stuff. So that's my little spiel about UFC stuff. Now I want to get to AEW, because tonight is the final stop of AEW Dynamite on this Canadian tour. Collision's final stop will be Saturday at the Scotiabank Saddledome in Calgary, home of the NHL's Calgary Flames. But tonight for Dynamite, we've got Commander against Chris Jericho. We've got the Owen Hart Cup Tournament semifinal on the women's side of the bracket. Ruby Soho against Sky Blue. We've got MJF and Adam Cole against Brian Cage and Big Bill in their blind eliminator tag team tournament thing. And there's one other match. Oh, there's also Swerve Strickland against Nick Wayne, which I don't give a shit about. I really don't, sorry. And then we've got Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin going against Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia as part of the blind eliminator tag team tournament thing, where the winner of that tournament gets a shot against FTR for the tag team championships. Although FTR might not be the champions after Saturday, because they're going to be facing Bullet Club Gold, Jay White, and Juice Robinson in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Which, I will say, I did not think they were going to turn around 1 week after doing the Eliminator match, which Bullet Club Gold won, to earn the title match. I didn't think they would turn around and do the title match right away. This felt like a feud that you could build up to the Wembley Stadium show, All In, which I'll get to All In and All Out and all that in a few minutes. But I want to talk about this Ruby Soho Sky Blue match that's happening tonight. As I said, it's the semifinal of the Owen Hart Cup tournament. So I think Sky Blue is going to win this whole tournament alongside my boy Ricky Starks. He's in the final of the Owen Hart Cup tournament against CM Punk. Which, just to briefly touch on that, I think Samoa Joe is going to come out and cost CM Punk that match, and that's what sets up their feud, which leads to a match at either All In or All Out. I hate that those two pay-per-views are happening within a week of each other. Again, I'll get to that later in the show. But anyway, getting back to Ruby Soho and Sky Blue, because that's the main point of what I'm talking about as of right now. I think Sky Blue has a ton of potential, and she's shown in her last few matches that she knows what she's doing in the ring. Like, she went toe-to-toe with Toni Storm, the current AEW Women's World Champion. And she won a tag team match. I think it was with Willow Nightingale, actually, on Collision against Toni Storm and Ruby Soho. So, the AEW and Tony Khan clearly see something in Sky Blue. I would love to see Sky get a big push and be featured in a big feud. If Britt Baker was healthy, I would say have Sky Blue and Britt feud. But unfortunately, as you could just tell in Britt's match against Ruby Soho last week, Britt is not healthy right now. So, that's not a realistic feud. At least not right now. Maybe Anna Jay, if she were a heel, maybe that could be a good mid-level program to do. Have Sky Blue win that and then give her a bigger program. But the problem is the women's division doesn't have a lot of people who you could say, oh, those two should feud. Oh, those two should feud. That's one of the biggest problems AEW has right now. And it's not just with the women's division. It's also the tag team division. It's the trios division. AEW doesn't really have any established contenders for the respective championships in those divisions. Like House of Black, they're not feuding with anybody right now. Well, I guess you could say they're feuding with Andrade El Idolo, but that's 3 against 1. You can't have a trios championship match when it's 3 against 1. The math doesn't work. And FTR, okay, they're feuding with Bullet Club Gold. But what else are you going to do? Let's say FTR beats Bullet Club Gold on Saturday. Who's there to feud with FTR next for the championships? I don't know. Toni Storm is the AEW Women's World Champion. Is she feuding with anybody? No. It makes no sense. I don't get it. But, I know, I've gone off on a couple tangents. That's what happens sometimes. But, yeah, in terms of this Owen Hart Cup tournament, I'll just talk about it as a whole. I think it needs to be used to build up contenders and build up stars. That's why I think Ricky Starks is going to beat CM Punk in the men's side of the bracket. because, well, one, I'm a huge Ricky Starks fan. On Discord, I actually call myself Absolute Freaking Rollins. That's because Ricky Starks is my favorite wrestler in AEW, and Seth freaking Rollins is my favorite wrestler in WWE. So I thought I would take their two names and just stick them together. Thus, Absolute freaking Rollins. And the reason I love Ricky is because, first of all, he can hold his own on the microphone. You can just hear the passion, the energy, the charisma when he's cutting promos. He's one of the few guys during MJF's current title reign that I think was actually able to hang with MJF. Granted, it was a very short program because MJF had just won the championship at Full Gear and he needed to defend the belt at Winter is Coming. So they gave him Ricky Starks. I would like to see AEW run that program back leading into Full Gear. Which, by the way, Full Gear should be here at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, home of the Cleveland Cavaliers and Cleveland Monsters in downtown Cleveland. That's right. I am calling for Full Gear to come here to Cleveland, Ohio. As of right now, AEW has not announced a Cleveland show. They've got all their August dates filled up, and most of their dates for September are filled up. So that leaves October and November and December. So that's got my intrigue gland, if you will, filled. I think there is a chance either we're getting the go-home show for Full Gear or Full Gear itself is coming here. I would love either one of those. But I would love to see Ricky against MJF going into Full Gear. That match, I think, would be fantastic. But I don't think that's actually what's going to happen. It's clear that they're going to do MJF versus Adam Cole at All In for the AEW World Championship. That's why they're doing this whole tag team storyline with the two of them. But other than that, I have no idea what other matches are happening with All In and then All Out exactly a week later. Why are you doing two pay-per-views back to back? It really makes no sense. Like, how are you going to build to two pay-per-views basically at the same time? Because we're having to build to All In at Wembley freaking Stadium in London, and then a week later, All Out is happening in Chicago, which, why is AEW so obsessed with Chicago? When they go to Chicago for the week of All Out, it's going to be like their third or fourth time going to Chicago this year. Is there something in CM Punk's contract that says AEW will come to Chicago like 638 times a year? Is there like some secret clause in CM Punk's contract that says that? Because it's honestly ridiculous how often they go to Chicago. Like, give other cities a chance. Like I said, my hometown of Cleveland, we haven't gotten a show yet this year. How about you give us a chance? Detroit had a great crowd when AEW Dynamite was there earlier this year for the steel cage match between Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega. How about they get another show? Indianapolis, give them a chance. They're hosting WWE Fastlane. Why doesn't AEW give Indianapolis a try? Denver, Colorado. You know, cities like that. Kansas City, Atlanta, Minneapolis, places like that. They went to Seattle earlier this year and had a great show. Why not go back there? Try Portland, Oregon. How about that? You know, I like I said, I genuinely do not get it. Why is AEW so obsessed with going to Chicago? It really makes no sense. But Alright, so I want to circle back because I kind of went away from the Sky Blue versus Ruby Soho match earlier. I was talking about it, and then other things came up, and I started off on my other tangents. But Sky Blue should beat Ruby Soho tonight, and she should advance to the tournament final. But here's the thing. You have Athena and Willow Nightingale on the other side. It would make sense for Ruby Soho and Willow Nightingale to meet in the tournament final because they used to be best friends and they used to be part of a tag team. So you have instant storyline right there. But here's the thing at the same time with tonight's match. Ruby Soho is already established. She's already has a lot of history behind her. Heck, she was in WWE as Ruby Riott. Sky Blue is a young up-and-comer, and fans, I think, are starting to get behind her, but she's not at that level yet. I think having Sky Blue beat Ruby Soho tonight, and then winning the Owen Hart Cup tournament final on Collision on Saturday really establishes her and says, yes, we believe in her. Like, we see something in her. So, I think that's the right move to make. We also have Blood and Guts coming up next week at TD Garden in Boston. It's going to be The Elite, Hangman Adam Page, Nick and Matt Jackson, Kenny Omega, and a mystery partner, Kota Ibushi probably, going up against the Blackpool Combat Club, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Konosuke Takeshita. Bryan Danielson would be in there, but he suffered an injury during his match against Kazuchika Okada. So each side has a mystery partner. The speculation is that it's going to be Kota Ibushi for the Elite. Everybody's kind of saying that. So if it's not Ibushi, everybody's going to be disappointed. There's been a lot more speculation about who could be the mystery partner for the BCC. Given what happened last week with Chris Jericho and Don Callis, the feeling is that it's going to be Chris Jericho. However, I don't think it should be Chris Jericho. Because here's the thing. In the past couple weeks, we've had this storyline developing with the Dark Order and Hangman Adam Page. And who have been the two main guys at the center of it? Evil Uno and Hangman Adam Page. So if you put Evil Uno in the Blood and Guts match, he can just go right at Hangman and they can just beat the ever-living shit out of each other. I think it would be amazing. Plus, you have the added part of this that leading up to Revolution, Moxley and Evil Uno had a fantastic match against each other in the lead up to the Texas Death match between Jon Moxley and Hangman Adam Page, which if you have not watched that match, you need to, because that was one of the best matches of 2023, without a doubt, hands down. Revolution as a whole was a fantastic pay-per-view. If you have not gotten the chance to watch Revolution 2023, you need to go find a way to sit down on your couch for like 2 to 3 hours and watch it. Because that whole pay-per-view was amazing. Especially the Iron Man match with Bryan Danielson and MJF. Oh my God. The way they worked that match was incredible. But of course, my favorite match of that show was the opening match because Ricky Starks beat Chris Jericho. Which, why has Ricky Starks not gotten a bigger push following beating Chris Jericho? Why? I do not get it. But anyway, getting back to this whole Evil Uno thing. Like I said, I think Evil Uno should be the 5th member of the BCC team for Blood and Guts next week. Which I like. How do I say this? While I'm looking forward to Blood and Guts next week, I kind of wish it was a pay-per-view. Because the problem is with AEW Dynamite and Collision, they go into picture-in-picture, where the commercial is like this big, and the wrestling itself is like that big. I'm like, no, I want to watch this, not that. Like, I get it. The advertisers want to be seen, but can you at least make the wrestling be the same size as the commercial? Because, like, with Blood and Guts next week, I want to see, is Jon Moxley stabbing someone with a damn fork? You know, or is there going to be another exploding shoe involved in this match, like what we had with Anarchy in the Arena, which that Anarchy in the Arena was absolutely bonkers. And it's funny because again, the stipulation for that match is Anarchy in the Arena. And yet, Claudio Castagnoli and one of the Young Bucks ended up in the back of a pickup truck outside of the arena. And, oh my, that was one of my favorite spots of that match. So, you know it's going to be ultra violent when the BCC and the Elite get into Blood and Guts next week. It is going to be insane. I cannot wait. But I kind of wish it was a pay-per-view. So that was a lot. But hopefully you enjoyed it. If you agree with me, write your comment. Leave your comments down in the comment section below, whether you agree with me or not. But until next time, I'm Unger to the Max, and I will see you on another episode of either the Sports Room Talk Show or Talking UFC and Wrestling. A salute to you.